Good afternoon! Hey, happy Wednesday. It's a hump day.
Oh, boy.
It's also Wrestling Wednesday.
Hump day.
Oh, yeah, brother. It's a Wrestling Wednesday. Let's get it. I'm excited. I'm excited for this Wednesday. It's a landmark day in Portland, too. WNBA coming back.
I thought you were going to say it was a landmark for this drop from yesterday.
Eat the sack and call it good.
Oh, boy. I didn't realize we had that one.
Yeah.
We had that one, too, huh?
Yeah.
Whoa, Nelly. I miss Keith Jackson. He was great. You knew you were in for a big game when Keith Jackson was on the call.
Yeah, I do miss that.
Yeah. On the beautiful Willamette River, the Willamette Valley. He was great.
Yeah,
you
no,
just got the Rumble, the Rose Bowl. It was awesome.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Having one of those.
Keith Jackson.
Iron
R.I.P.
Eagle's got a great voice
Yeah.
for that, too.
He does. He has a fantastic. That's something that we're missing right now. Like
iconic.
Al Michaels has lost his fastball
Yeah.
a little bit,
There's no John Madden.
no. Well, Herb Street's like our. I think Herb Street is the best color guy that we got going right now.
Probably.
I love Kirk Herb Street.
Yeah.
Gus Johnson isn't that guy. I love Gus Johnson. I love Gus Gasms. But that's not like big game. Here we go, and that's
No.
your big noon kick. That's
Yeah.
supposed to be the biggest game.
Yeah,
I don't
it's-
think Fowler has that.
No.
Hurt my feelings.
Which those are great. I love those.
College football.
Yeah, yeah.
They're great. Don't get me wrong. But there's room for an iconic voice again.
Yeah, Fowler is almost so understated
Yeah.
that it doesn't resonate
Mhm.
with you. Who's the best college football like play-by-play guy we got right now?
That's tough.
Yeah, right? I mean, Herbie on the call with Fowler, I think that's the best combo. I think our color guys are great. I love Herbie. I love Joel Klatt. I think Joel Klatt is awesome when he's giving you the color.
Nestler's still up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying
Yeah.
to think. God.
Like Joe Tessitore. He is
Joe Tess is up there.
he goes but his games Joe Tessitore was the best when he was Pac-12 After Dark guy.
Yeah.
Because he was really damn good and all of his games just went sideways.
Yeah, it's the same thing with like Kevin Harlan when he
Mm,
gets weird.
yeah.
Like when there's something weird going on. But yeah, there's a definite hole there.
Yeah, you know who doesn't get enough credit for how good I like him a lot? People may just say, "What?" I like Ted Robinson, formerly Pac-12 Network. Now he does those
Okay,
games
yeah.
on the CW.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does like the Beeve games. I like me some Ted Robinson. Ted Robinson does a good job. I like Ted Robinson. See, but we don't have that big voice guy. And I don't know, is that the networks have tried to do that to us? Is that what the networks are doing? Because they don't want anybody like the ESPN, remember Sports Center? The whole rub with like Chris Berman and Dan Patrick is they didn't want them to be bigger than the network.
The Stu Scott, the
Yeah.
SVP and Eisen, like that whole crew, and it's like, yeah, guess what? That was also your best era, you idiots.
Yeah, those are, and they're letting SVP do his thing now. But it's like,
Weird.
They also have, outside of SVP, Sports Center,
Mhm.
it's like a rotating door. Like, how many times do we look up and be like, who is this?
Yeah, regularly I look at you when we're in breaks and somebody will
Yeah.
be on the screen. I'm like, who the hell is that?
I need that familiar, that comfort.
And that's on
That
purpose. Like they've hired people who are good, but they're all the straight man. It's not anything with any kind of real character.
Yeah.
Anybody who's new at ESPN is so buttoned up,
Yeah.
and I don't like it.
I'm not.
There's no iconic calls.
Yep.
And even the last hangers-ons, the Linda Cohns of the world.
Hey.
She's going up to Seattle.
Yeah, she gonna do Kraken games.
Yeah.
She gonna do the Krakens.
She's giving out.
Alongside, do you know who?
Andy Dirt Johnson?
No.
Oh.
No.
But his Winterhawks co-host,
Yeah,
old
Furness.
Ian Furness.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. On
They're doing
on the Kraken.
The
Hockey
pre and
Network.
post
Get
and
cracked.
intermissions.
Well, that's cool. I love Linda Cohn. She
Linda's
loves
great.
her hockey
Oh, yeah.
too.
She's a puckhead.
Yeah.
I chose my vernacular
Yeah.
appropriately.
Well, there's a difference.
Yeah.
There is a difference. She is a puckhead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because puck bunnies, those are something different.
Yes.
And not a puck bunny, but a
No.
puck head.
Yeah.
She loves hockey. So does Bucci. I love John
Yeah.
Buccigross. John Buccigross, great. Yeah, this text, Vancouver Ford text line. And the announcers are so stale now.
They are.
Yeah.
It needs to come back.
Yeah.
Bring back character.
Yeah, like
Marcus Johnson, old school,
Marcus Johnson,
Yeah.
old school.
the announcer for the Bucks,
No.
former NBA player, ABA player.
Yeah.
See the Sonics?
I don't know if he ever played for the Songs. I know he's with the Bucks.
Gotcha.
Okay.
But
Thinking of a different Marcus then.
he was the one who said in
Marcus Darling.
White Men Can't Jump, I'm going to go to my car, get my gun, shoot everyone here.
Yeah.
That's him.
Okay.
Gotcha.
But he's the play-by-play guy for the Bucks, and he's fantastic.
See, that's great.
Yeah.
Sign me
Calabro.
up.
Calabro still has all the
Calabro.
character in the world.
Calabro, and this is why, Calabro deserves big time games.
Yes.
Like he deserves big time games.
He has the
that
booming
big
voice.
big time voice. And
Yeah.
I think this text for Vancouver Ford text line 503-864-6326. Your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. Visit them online at vancouverford.com. It says, my favorite Keith Jackson quote that I can remember, the Ducks are playing in the Bay on a foggy day. They showed the Bay, and Keith goes, the Golden Gate Bridge is hiding in the fog, but don't worry, we'll find it. He always had those little one-liners like that to add to the broadcast. That is, it's the painting the picture, because TV now, like broadcasters are taught on TV, is like, let the game kind of work for itself. You're setting up your color guy now.
Yeah.
Right? Keith Jackson would like dance that line between radio play-by-play where you're truly painting the picture so people can see what's going on and knowing what everybody could see in front of them. So there's like this element of what Keith Jackson did was he was very understated with his calls. In the calls, like Gus Johnson, his calls are over the top.
Yes.
But he would set the scene and paint the picture
Vern's
better
great
than
at that,
anybody
too.
else. Yeah, Uncle Vern.
Yeah, Vern Lundquist.
He's done too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's just no one left that has that, and it's just like it's a bummer.
Yeah.
I guess I hold out hope for like Noah Eagle.
But I think one of the problems, though, is that these guys, they bounce around so much that now that
Can't build that
you
equity
don't
in a
know.
home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like where has Noah Eagle been so far? Like he graduated from Syracuse like 3 years ago. He's been the play-by-play guy for the Clippers.
the
He's now
Nets.
the Nets. He's
And
now
now
NBC
NBC.
with the Notre Dame broadcast.
And the Olympics.
Yeah, like he's
Who's the face of Olympic basketball.
everywhere.
Yeah.
So we need these guys to age a little
Yeah.
bit, huh? I think that's what we're going with.
But yeah, I mean, it is a weird spot.
Yeah.
It's a weird spot.
Yeah, Calabro's really good though. I want the Blazers to be relevant just so we can have Calabro calling meaningful games. So he does have that. He's a big game guy.
Yeah, and I mean, he still does some national stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I was talking about the end of the season. I mean, how much you want to do? And he's like, I'm okay. I'll go do some games.
Yeah, this is a good one too. Keith Jackson had a good send off with Texas USC national championship game. Sure did.
Yeah.
Sure did. And he was great in The Water Boy.
Oh God, fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
He and Fouts were
Yeah.
fantastic in that.
What?
All right. Well, let's get the show on the road, shall we?
I guess.
All right.
It's a little bit weird. I'm looking over your shoulder at NBA Today, and I'm seeing Adam Schefter, Jeff Passan instead of Woj on NBA Today.
Well, did you see the article? We'll get to Woj.
Yeah.
Woj is hanging it up. That's on the docket today. The article written about Woj retiring, the byline for it, contributors Pete Thamel, Jeff Passan, and Adam Schefter. So they took college football, Major League Baseball, and NFL, their three biggest newsbreakers, to write the article about
Their
Woj
biggest
walking away,
newsbreaker.
which just tells me Woj wrote it, and they would just added like
Couple
here and there, a
bylines,
little bit here and there. Woj wrote his own send off, and so we'll get to Woj. He gone.
You go.
And hey, local time may be sliding in. We'll discuss that a little bit today. We will have the WNBA's return to Portland. Lane Kiffin is now trolling Oregon State. Get ready, folks.
Saw that one.
Yeah. Well, he's actually responded to it. He has responded.
Oh.
Yeah, he has responded to it. So why Lane Kiffin is now got Oregon State in his sights, and it's not because the Beavs are going to join the SEC. So we got that to get to today. We got a lot of NFL stuff that we have. We have another Fun with Audio Jim Harbaugh edition today because I don't think Jim Harbaugh quite understands it. And then we have some NFL notes. Patrick Mahomes unfairly being criticized with a stat bomb on the broadcast over the weekend. And we'll dive into that.
Interesting.
It was because they wanted to make it look like it was something worse than it actually is. But where we got to start this bad boy off, the WNBA is returning to Portland. What does this mean? What does this mean? How excited are we, Rip City? We now have Rip City NBA and WNBA back. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. All right, the announcement that we all knew was coming down the pipeline in August. Sean Highkin the Rose Garden Report, he let us all know, hey, by the way, Portland's going to get a WNBA team. By the way, it's not the same ownership group that Portland was going to have the WNBA with, and then fell apart at the last minute a year ago. It officially became official this morning. WNBA had a tweet saying they're coming back to Portland, and it will be owned by the Bethal family, which has ownership in the Portland Thorns. They are minority owners or limited partners with the Sacramento Kings,
Indeed.
Sacramento River Cats, which is a AAA baseball team, and the Stockton G League team, which brings you street cred, to be quite honest. I mean, anything out of Stockton comes with a little bit of street cred. They are very well funded. I was reading up on them. Holy smokes. You want to talk about a portfolio.
They are diversified.
So Raj Bethal started Raj Swim, a swimwear business in the 60s. His grandkids now own the business, which includes Raj Sports, commercial real estate investment, and Raj Capital, which invests in businesses including Therabody and the oil and gas industry. Yikes. With 5 Point Energy. So they got money, man. They got big money.
Yeah, they're worth a couple billy.
Yeah, that's good.
It's a good spot to be.
It's a good spot to be.
I mean, they had the kind of money to spend, $65 million to buy the Thorns. And, well, I'm sure we'll find out today what the actual expansion fee was for the...
for Portland?
Yeah, for Portland.
Yeah, in the WNBA. Because I guess the average WNBA franchise valued at $96 million now, which is crazy to think about when you consider, I think Paul Allen bought the Portland Trailblazers for less than that in the late 80s.
Oh, there we go. We did get it. It's $125 million that they paid. I'm sorry, no, that's for the Thorns. That included their practice facility. So I would imagine that this is probably going to be somewhere around 80.
Okay.
The expansion fee.
All right.
Which is
Paul Allen bought the Blazers for $70 million in 1988.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's now worth about $4 billion.
Yikes.
So, what's cool is the Bethal family owning both the Thorns and the WNBA team is that they're going to work in concert.
Yeah.
They're going to have a training facility that is built for women's sports.
Yeah, for the Thorns and whatever this WNBA team is going to be named. Do we know?
Not yet.
Hopefully it's not the Royal. What were they going to call the first time around that they did this thing?
The name that he wanted was dumb.
Yeah.
God, what was it?
It was something royal.
Yeah, it was
royalty or something.
There was a rumor going around that that's why it didn't happen. The reason it didn't happen with the last ownership group is because he was broke.
Okay.
That's what happened. He owns Zoom Care, and that coming out of COVID, their stock cratered, and they just didn't have the financial ability to run things the way that they needed to.
Okay. Well, now I think we look at it and we say, obviously, the Portland Thorns are very well supported here in the city. It is one of the most well supported women's sports franchises in the world.
Yes, it is the most attended women's sports franchise in the world.
In the world or in the United States?
In the world. They tout that in their what do you call it, game notes.
I believe it will be, the WNBA here in Portland will be just as well supported. Like, women's sports matter here.
No, they do.
And women's basketball culture in the state of Oregon is actually really, really good and deep rooted.
Yeah,
too.
Whether it's in high school at Clackamas or at Westview, Oregon City, Mountainside, you've got at University of Oregon, you've got Sabrina.
Oregon State's been really good too.
No, I'm saying
everybody left, but Rook's a great coach.
But if you're talking about like names that you recognize from the state of Oregon, you've got Sabrina Ionescu, you've got Satu Sabali, you've got Cam Brink from Mountainside High School, you've got Jazzy, who's the number 2 prospect in the entire country as a senior this year, was at Clackamas.
Yeah.
You've got a ton of ties, and whether you go back to the old, Oregon City teams that were literally the best women's high school basketball teams in the country.
Yeah.
The Braxton twins at Westview. Like, women's basketball has, for such a kind of a weird outpost, Oregon has been way up there.
Yeah, and girls transfer in from all over the country to come and play at Oregon high schools. It's a weird thing, but it's always kind of been deep-rooted here. Obviously, WNBA was here for 3 seasons, folded in 2002 with the Portland Fire, but the WNBA is in such a different place now. Women's sports are in such a different place now.
The WNBA broke even for the first time this year.
They are going to play in Moda.
They'll probably move over to Memorial Coliseum during some renovation periods.
Which they will do during the summer.
Yes.
Starting next
summer,
year.
yeah.
But they won't start playing until 2026. And here's the other thing about them starting in 2026. Free agents in 2026. You have Sabrina Ionescu, Asia Wilson, Nyara Sabally, Sabaly's sister that played at the University of Oregon. I was looking for Oregon State players that were going to be free agents at that time. Couldn't find any. And then Enrique Ugumbale, also going to be a free agent in 2026. So big names that will be free agents that summer. Usually they just stay with their teams, very similar to free agency in every other sport. But
it'll be interesting to see what they do for the draft. Do they give them the number 1 draft pick
well,
that year? And
I don't know
we
because
won't know.
they're now going to be the third expansion franchise because you have San Francisco is also getting one. Toronto is getting a WNBA team.
The 4th is still kind of an unknown.
And then Portland, but San Francisco starts next year, and then Toronto and Portland will start in 2026.
And so do they insert 2 draft picks and give them like picks 3 and 4? Do they give them 1 and 2? Do they give them compensatory draft picks as part of an expansion draft? Like there's a lot of different things that are going to need to be worked out. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how that works because that's also you've got Juju Watkins coming out of USC, who is the next transformative player that'll be eligible for the draft that year.
All right.
So there's a lot of different things that could line up really, really, really well for a Portland WNBA franchise that kind of hit the ground running.
So we get MLS, NBA, NWSL, and WNBA. We're here.
Not too bad.
People are getting very upset, though, on social media about what the name of this team should be. This text would love to see him name them the Mermaids. Doubt you're going to get that.
Nemec came up with a good one, leaning on the Oregon City pass and calling them the Pioneers. He said it kind of links in with the Trailblazers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Somebody said that Trailblaze hers,
which pretty funny.
It's good, but they're getting dragged for that.
Yeah.
So just use caution when you throw out a name on social media.
Yeah, so you can't go Pioneers though either because somebody will be like, well, it's like Oregon Trail, and then they'll talk about like what actually happened on the Oregon Trail.
Well, yeah, I don't know if they want to look at the Trailblazers.
No, that's
kind of the same deal.
Like I know, but again, we know how this works now.
Do you know how many people have died from fever in the Indiana's just rolling out there with their name, just being the Fever.
Yeah, plagues.
Just reckless.
Honestly,
the Connecticut Sun. You know how many people die from melanoma every year?
Skin cancer.
I mean,
do you know how many people get sunburns?
Yeah, Los Angeles Sparks. You know how many fires sparks cause?
Forest fires.
Do you think about
started
how,
by birds getting electrocuted on the power lines?
We can do this all day.
Think about how
Dallas Cowboys. You want to get me started on those Cowboys?
I mean, think about when Mercury goes into retrograde and all those people have their feelings hurt.
I don't know what that means. I don't.
Something with astrology.
Yeah, you went right over my head on that one.
That's what I went for.
Yeah. Is it?
No, it's 100%. That's what it's going for. It's a little outside the box.
Let's see here. What other ones can we go with? Las Vegas Aces. Gambling addiction is real. There's 800 numbers that I hear about every time a DraftKings ad is rolled out.
They're usually 35 seconds of the 60-second spot.
Yeah. Washington Mystics. Anybody heard of Black Magic?
Yeah.
Huh?
Salem witch trials.
The witch trials?
Yeah. Burning people at the stake?
Yeah. The Chicago Sky?
It rains. Water comes out of the sky.
You know what comes from sky?
Lightning.
Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Hurricanes come from the sky.
It's true.
It kills people.
Hail. Lots of dangerous stuff out there.
Yeah. Dallas Wings. Boeing anybody?
Oh, wow.
They've been in the news lately.
Doors falling off planes?
I didn't say that.
No.
I didn't say that. All right? I don't want them coming after me. I didn't do that. So we've just gone down almost the entire WNBA.
Not too bad.
Minnesota Lynx, I think you're safe. Those are cats that are small. They don't really. Do they kill anybody?
Yeah, no, murder mittens will definitely kill people.
No,
yeah.
New York Liberty. Ellis Island didn't really treat people very well.
It's actually it's a Trojan horse too, Statue of Liberty.
What'd the French put in there?
They died.
Baguettes?
No, they died. They forgot.
Oh, all right.
That's what it was.
All right. The Atlanta Dream. Nightmares.
Yeah.
Nightmares.
Mhm.
Freddy Krueger.
Seen it?
Mhm.
Seen it.
Can you get hurt? You can get hurt in dreams.
All right. That we've gone.
All of them.
We've picked apart every WNBA team. I can do this for men's sports too. So don't come at me that I'm just coming at the WNBA.
They're all problematic.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the Vancouver Ford text line, I love the way Danny just casually said this man was broke, like he's seen him on the side of 205 eating top ramen.
Who?
Did you?
Yeah,
you're
did
talking
call
the
it
Zoom Care guy.
Yeah, I did call him broke.
Yeah.
It's more fun to say it that way. He's not broke. He's fine, but he doesn't have sports franchise money anymore.
Oh, that came out of left field on me. I didn't know. I was like, "Who'd you call broke?"
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So he's just worth like a few $100 million.
Yeah, he's just worth like $500 million.
I mean, come on, guy.
Yeah.
Who isn't these days?
Hey, get it together.
Who's
Get
not?
it together.
Who's not?
Do we need to start a GoFundMe?
I mean,
Somebody will.
I mean, that's how you stay rich. Is you use other people's money.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a valid point.
So, this text on the Vancouver Ford text line: how's Portland going to feel if Seattle decides to steal their
Thunder and that's
Thunder
their
and
Sonics tomorrow?
Yeah, that would be the ultimate little brother smackdown.
I mean, it's not happening.
No, but there is news on that.
Yeah.
There is news on that. The Thunder have said that if Seattle gets a WNBA or an NBA team,
They'll
because
get
they already
their
have a
history
WNBA team, they get all the history back. So that little gold tab on the back of the Thunder's uniforms,
Coming off.
it's coming off.
That's
No
a
more.
shame.
No more. And they're going to have to take away like the first 2 years of Kevin Durant's scoring history.
And Russell Westbrook's.
Yeah. And Nick Collison's,
Yeah.
who's Mr. Thunder.
Yeah.
Huh? How about that?
Mm.
Yeah. How about now? How long did Mr. Thunder play for you now?
Does Nick Collison leave the Thunder and go work for the Sonics?
I hope so.
Be kind of funny.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, let's go. Let's keep this going. What about the Tampa Bay Lightning? How many people are struck by lightning every year? Yeah, that's triggering.
Like 66 times.
Yeah. The Los Angeles Dodgers, they were the Brooklyn Trolley Dodgers.
Mm.
Trolley deaths, they account for
That's such a
fives of
hyper
people.
specific thing. I love it. Trolley Dodgers.
Yeah. Yeah. San Francisco Giants. Giants, fee, fi, fo, fum, anybody?
Yeah, right?
Huh? You smelling human blood.
Also, Marfan syndrome kills people.
Yes,
See?
it does. Yes, it does.
Not Boban, though. He's just going over to Fenerbahce to play basketball.
That's right. Don't even get me started on the Detroit Lions.
Good Lord.
Whew.
Tigers and Bears, oh my.
What are we doing here?
Seattle Mariners out there killing fish all over the place.
Oh, God, Whalers?
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, the NHL did the right. No, they did the wrong thing. The
No.
Hartford Whalers should still
God.
be around.
Beautiful logo.
Great logo.
When you talk about, like, perfect logos,
Yeah.
that's up there.
Milwaukee Brewers.
Ooh. Drunk driving?
Yeah.
Hello.
Liver disease.
We also have we have some beer related names, but we can't have any smoking related names.
Yeah. Like, what about the Memphis Marlboro Man?
Yeah.
The North Carolina Cigs.
A little Tobacco Road, you know? Come on. Birmingham Burners.
Yeah, the Charlotte Ultra 99s.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's just go all in on the Commanders. You know how many people Commanders have executed in their time?
And think about the Commanders that got executed.
Sheesh. All right.
Fratricide?
I'm glad we got that out of the way.
Yeah.
So we are preemptively getting triggered over the name so we don't have to when the actual name of this franchise comes out. Moral of the story, the WNBA is coming back. I think it's great for the city. I do believe that when you look at the arc of women's sports, you look at the eyeballs that are now on the sport, it's no longer the joke that the WNBA was perceived to be when it came here in the late 90s through the early 2000s. It isn't. It's a different league, and they're going to be playing in Moda. I think that it is. It's good for the city, and I'm excited to have a WNBA team here. So, way to go, Portland Pioneers. I'm with Anemic. I stand with Anemic on this. I like cities that have sports continuity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
well, because they've already tried to do that with most of their other, sister city, not sister cities, but the appropriate NBA franchise.
yeah, it's something along the same lines, right? Yeah, like Lakers and Sparks.
Well, like the Spurs and Silver Stars.
There you go.
Timberwolves and Lynx,
Wait.
even though they're different species, but
Yeah, they have tried.
yeah,
They have tried.
And to be clear, the Blazers do not have any ownership stake. Because I know he was like, oh, why isn't that the Allen estate or anything? But they were helpful and instrumental in kind of getting this all done.
Okay. Yeah, because they said, yeah, come on in.
Yeah, like
Play-
they wanted to be
play in
helpful
Moda.
to make it happen.
All right. WNBA in Portland.
And I'll say this:
Catch fever.
there's a big. Unfortunately, the weather's crappy, but there's a big block party going on tonight at 4:00 down in Moda.
Oh yeah.
So if you want to head down and check it out, they'll be down there doing all the things and making the introduction of the team. I'll be down there for the press conference here in a couple hours.
Sweet. So WNBA to Portland. Danny will have live updates
Indeed.
from the big presser that's going to happen today. It's a good thing, and anytime you have an ownership group that wants to be rooted in an area, it doesn't matter if it is NWSL, WNBA, NBA, whatever. That's a good thing.
Yes,
That is a good thing.
They are wanting to be and like there's the bar here, the sports bra. That's also a big part of like the rolling out.
Dude,
and
it's a chain now.
well, yeah, I mean,
yeah, they just announced, they're going to franchise.
Well, I mean, you know who the investor is, right? It's the founder of Reddit.
Yeah.
He's worth billions.
Yeah, he has gotten in, and it is, Serena Williams' husband.
Yes.
Okay.
Which
It's
means-
Serena Williams' husband.
Which means again,
I don't know his name, but I know he's Serena Williams' husband.
That's a
There we go.
massive bankroll when you're talking about that power couple.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you think that this isn't going to succeed, you're crazy.
All right. Why is Lane Kiffin mad at Oregon State next on the fan?
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air, serving Portland, Southwest Washington, and the Gorge. Online at aneheatingandcooling.com. It's hard to stop a train. First on the fan, the WNBA indeed announced this morning the league will expand to Portland for its 15th franchise and will begin playing the 2026 season at Moda Center. Portland joins the Golden State Valkyries and a Toronto franchise as the league's most recent additions. Oregon State football has agreed to a home-and-home with Wake Forest. The Demon Deacons will make the trip to Reser Stadium in 2025, while the Beavs will head to Winston-Salem in 2029. Mariners' postseason hopes waning more and more by the day. Now 5 games behind the Astros in the AL West with just 11 games left. They're 3 games behind the Twins for the final wild card spot, but the Tigers do stand in their way. The M's hosting the Yankees again tonight. Bryce Miller on the bump opposite Nestor Cortez. You can catch that game on 910 ESPN Portland. Coverage starts at 6 o'clock. First pitch at 6:40, and the game can also be seen on Prime Video. In the NFL, Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh says Justin Herbert's ankle injury is, quote, feeling much better. However, he did not participate in practice today. If he can't go, Easton Stick would get the start. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite fan shows on the Odyssey app. The only way to rewind Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
We talked about this yesterday. Lane Kiffin was upset at Wake Forest after beating the Demon Deacons 40-6 this past weekend. Wake Forest said, no mas. This home and home, we're out. We're going to pay you to go make this thing go away.
We're good here.
And immediately, in the aftermath, I said, well, hey, Oregon State or Washington State should swoop in and pick this game up for Wake Forest. And they did. Wake Forest and Oregon State agreed to a home-and-home series 2025 at Reser Stadium in Wake in 2029. They're replacing the Ole Miss game from next year. Way to go, Beavs.
That was
swooping
quick.
in with a home game.
Yeah.
Swooping in with a home game.
Not too bad.
Not too bad. Lane Kiffin responding to that tweet from Brett McMurphy with the facepalm emoji. And remember, Lane Kiffin said they broke the unwritten rule, which is you don't back out of a home-and-home series if you're a Power 5 school.
Lane's probably sitting there like, we wanted Oregon State.
Yeah, well, their schedule this year indicates that. I am pro this type of scheduling. We talked about this yesterday. Rip them all up. Get rid of all of them. Because you know what is better for both the Wake Forest and Oregon State programs is playing like competition. Not going and just absolutely getting murdered in a game where you know you don't stand a chance. You know that it's not in your best interest to go and play an Ole Miss because you're not on that level right now. And the only reason why Ole Miss is playing that game is so that they can check a box, which is we had a Power 4 game on our schedule. This is why I believe that conferences should link up and they should say, all right, a year in advance, where do we think our programs are? We're going to rank them out. We're going to go ahead, do a little, you can do the little power draft that I threw out yesterday where the Big Ten and SEC just go back and forth. They flip a coin, who gets to pick first, and Big Ten wins. Perfect. They get to pick the first matchup in that thing. We're going to go at home, Alabama, Ohio State. Then the SEC gets to pick after that. Fine. Oregon has to go to Georgia. Then Big Ten's got their pick. Michigan. They get LSU coming in. Play it out that way. Go all rank and file all the way down. You have like matchups where you say home and away. You go and you rank them a year in advance. Bam. That's how we should schedule in college football. Not 10 years in advance. Oregon State playing Wake Forest, those are two teams that they will get far more out of that game than one of them just getting their tail whipped by Ole Miss in week 3 of 2025.
No, I think it's an interesting proposition. It's obviously something you can market, but it's also, I think it's one of those things where if you look at it from the sense of building the brand, as it were, not the SEC or the Big Ten, but the brand of college football, I think it matters.
Yeah.
Like I think this is the pivot point to the top 64 teams in college football. And I think you do kind of have these pod draws, like if you have your conferences, but for the out of conference games, like you have, let's say, let's do it this way. Let's say to keep the money pool for the group of 5 or the lesser non-64 teams. Let's say the most any team in the top 64 can play outside of the 64 is 2 games. And basically you just do a draw. And you do it like you do a Champions League in soccer, where it's just it's quite literally a lottery. And you're playing here and you're playing this team. I think that'd be fun to get those two. And then you have different pods for, okay, you're in the 64 and you were in the top 12 last year, which means you can play teams from not necessarily the bottom of the 64, but the next group up, and just kind of have. I'm picking
up what you're putting down. So like you're just basically saying the Power 4 conferences say, all right, you nominate 4 teams for each tier, right?
Yeah, it's a
and
voting.
So you have it
process.
tiered out, and you say, yeah, the other 3 can kind of weight this as well, right? And you say, all right, our top 4 teams are going in tier 1.
Yep.
Our next 4 are going in tier 2. Next 4, tier 3.
Everybody just kind of falls along.
File on down. Then you do like a lottery draw for tier 1 teams playing nothing but tier 1, tier 2 all the way down. Yes. Yeah. And you know what? You could sell that on TV.
Yes.
You could sell that on TV.
Are you kidding me? People
fan bases
all over
would
the
be
world tune in for those Champions League draws, and it's like Wrexham did a really good job of this when they did their documentary when they first made it into the higher level cup. God dang it, the FA Cup. There's 2 levels of the FA Cup. There's the FA Cup where you're like, yeah, you play some of the better teams, but you don't play the better teams. Then they moved up into their new division, and all of a sudden, like everybody's watching to see who they get in the draw. It's like, oh, they're playing Blackburn Rovers, who's like a historically great, soccer team, and you're like, oh, like you're like, this is a thing to look forward to. It's that tangible thing of like, yeah, you're gonna play a good team.
And
what good team? Are you gonna play between the hedges at Georgia?
Yeah.
Or are you gonna get Texas at home? Like I think that's half the fun. Is like you could pop up in the home draw, you could pop up in the away draw, and it could get weird real quick.
Be sweet. It'd be sweet, and that's just for like. And college football could make such a week out of.
Oh,
they could make a month.
circumstance.
They could make a month out of
You
it.
kidding me?
Where instead of having like down weeks like we had last week across college football, you could have those games would be elevated by doing that kind of draw. But you only do it for one matchup for every conference every year. So it's like this text that says, would have been nice for Big Bad UW if they could have avoided the powerhouse Cougs last week. Yeah, but you still have your rivalry games. You
Yes.
still have all that. We're just talking 1 week.
Yeah.
1 week out of the year. You have an FCS. You have, for a lot of schools now, it's a non-conference rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the draw week.
Mm-hmm.
And those are 3 of your non-conference games. SEC, if you want to play 8 conference games moving forward, go ahead. You could do 2 powder puffs. This is going to be your Power 4 game.
And
so
you're
you're
gonna-
not
and-
manipulating the system
Yes.
and taking a bottom feeder from a Power 4.
And you're going to go
saying,
north of the Mason-Dixon line. Suck it.
Yep, just like Bama did and mopped the floor with Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
The ass-whooping game,
Yeah.
as Luke Fickle called it,
But,
which is fantastic.
That's part of the deal. Like, yeah, Alabama, you're going to have to not play at a neutral site in Dallas or Las Vegas. Like, guess what? You might have to go to Washington.
Yep.
Like, that's just
Yeah.
the deal. You might have to go to Penn State.
Yeah, Georgia doesn't get to play Oregon at a neutral site in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Or, Oregon State playing TCU in Dallas.
Neutral site. Like, come on,
Stadium's
man.
like in Fort Worth.
Yeah, it's you can see the stadium.
Actually, it was for that game where Oregon, like the hotel, it was right outside of where TCU plays.
Oh yeah.
Like on Saturday morning, we woke up when we went when Oregon played Auburn in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
We woke up and when you go down on the street and I'm looking around, it's just like a sea of purple and black. And
'Cause
I
they're
was like,
heading into the
where
TCU game.
am I? And they were like, oh, TCU Stadium's like 2 blocks away. And I was like, holy smokes. And then we just hopped in the car and went to Arlington. It was that close for that game. So Oregon State, Wake Forest, home and home. 2025, 2029. Get the 2029 game out of there. Make it 25 and 26, for God's sakes. Let's have some reason here.
I like it.
Use your brain. All right, another day, another Jim Harbaugh'ism. God bless this man. He just keeps coming with the fire. Danny Dusty on the Fan. The Los Angeles Chargers are holed up on the East Coast. After beating the Panthers in Carolina, they stayed out back east.
To be fair, they didn't have to work very hard last week.
No, for a matchup against the Stellars, because it's the Stellars. Yesterday, I saw a video. Bradley Bozeman, their center, they did like a bagged lunch packing thing for a charity, right? And it was something that, they're not going home to their families. So Harbaugh was there, a bunch of his teammates were there, and they set a record. Like they did like 5,000. They packed like 5,000 sack lunches in 26 minutes. And the place was like, that's a record. And Harbaugh was like in the background going, yeah! Like he was getting all jacked because they broke the record, right? Like that was something he really cared about. But Jim Harbaugh addressed the media today, and Justin Herbert has an ankle. There's actually some news out of it. Justin Herbert has an ankle injury that he's been dealing with, and Harbaugh said he's back to normal. And on top of the plantar fascia, he got rolled up on because remember our conversation about how bad the offensive line has been?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he got rolled up on,
Yeah.
and he's kind of injured, got a boo-boo on his ankle.
Yeah.
So there was that little actual news. Then Harbaugh was asked about Greg Roman, his offensive coordinator. Why the rushing attacks that Greg Roman has every year are so good and what makes him such a great coach. And Jim Harbaugh did it again.
He's a great coach. I mean, one of the best I've ever been around. Like Moses, I'm gonna die leaning on my staff. Greg Roman, Jesse Minter, Ryan Fick, and those coordinators are, in my opinion, some of the best in the business. And
like the man who parted the Red Sea, I will die leaning on my staff.
Yeah. So,
bro, what a line!
In my mind, Harbaugh reads the Bible and everything is just in football terms, right? I don't think that when Jim Harbaugh takes in the Bible, like Moses dying leaning on his staff, in his mind it was like assistant coaches around him, not a physical staff. He's reading that as AFF, not APH.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, the staff that Moses died on, it was his coordinators of religion. That's what he died leaning on. I love Jim Harbaugh.
That's just tremendous stuff.
And it brings us back.
And he said it with a straight face. That's the thing about this. This isn't.
Yeah.
He's not crap posting here. Like he believes what he's saying.
Yeah. And remember,
that's what makes us great.
When we played the full audio of this that gave us these two drops.
I love guys who like football. Guys who like football, they like me back.
Remember when he said guys who don't like football usually try to avoid me because I try to talk to them about football? That is it right there. Like Jim Harbaugh goes to church, and I guarantee you he's like making these football references. Like he's sitting out in front of church. He's like, oh yeah, how about that sermon? I'm going to be like Moses. I'm going to die leaning on my staff too. And they're like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, you carry around a
the walking
staff?
stick?
Is that
like, no,
what you're?
My coordinators.
He's like, no, my coaching staff. And that's where people that don't like football do try to avoid Jim Harbaugh. He is a man who's just speaking nothing but the truth. And now we have...
like Moses, I'm going to die leaning on my staff.
God bless you,
That's
Jim Harbaugh.
incredible. That's incredible. I had not heard that until you played it. And that is an absolute bar. Because he wholeheartedly believes it. Like, did he workshop it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Look, here's the difference, right? Neil Olshey had his word of the press conference that he was going to put in there. And you knew it was absolute BS, and you wanted to punch him in the face when he said it. When Harbaugh says this, it's dumb.
Yeah.
And you kind of roll your eyes, but you know unequivocally that he believes it through and through to his core.
He loves football.
It's just it's so wild, but it's absolutely awesome. I love it. I love how absolutely crazy he is.
Yeah. And the people that he's like linking up with at church, because he's not going to church on Sundays. He's got football on
Yeah,
Sundays.
no, he's
He
doing
can't do
Saturday
that on
night.
He's
Or the early Sunday morning.
he's going
service.
midweek.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, he's a midweek.
Catching up?
He's a midweek guy. He's a midweek mass guy. He's going to midweek mass. And the people who go to midweek mass are not the ones that are going to be relating to Jim Harbaugh the most. The midweek massers are the ones that they're taking their religion, they're taking their Catholicism like Harbaugh very seriously here. Except for this guy is just trying to make all of it about football. So good on you, Jim Harbaugh. Way to go, bro. Way to go. All right, in the NFL, a wild stat popped up over the weekend. And it was a little bit unfair. Is Patrick Mahomes being wronged? Next on The Fan. Number 2, Danny and Dusty with you on a Wednesday afternoon. Thanks for being a part of our day, letting us be a part of yours. 1080 AM, 99.5 HD, the Odyssey app, twitch.tv/1080am the fan, and youtube.com/1080am the fan. Party on, party animals. There's a baseball game going on, bottom of the third in Colorado. The Diamondbacks lead the Rockies 6-0. And Corbin Carroll is having himself a day. He's hit 2 dangers.
Little danger action.
Yeah, he's got 2 dangers. And this comes to us via Ryan Spader, Ace of Spader on Twitter. Former Hillsboro Hop legend Corbin Carroll has 69 runs scored over his last 69 games played.
Very nice.
Yeah, nice.
Very nice.
That's incredible.
A run of game's pretty good.
Yeah. And he scored twice today with 2 dangers. 69.
Dude, like me a nice dinger.
Yeah, I like dangers too.
I like a good dinger of a 69.
Chicks dig the long ball.
I got baseball notes for us later today. Yeah. Because you've heard of Shoeless Joe Jackson. Now you have Shoeless Jose Altuve.
Yeah, that was fun last night.
And some, not to pile on Mariners fans, but 11-2, come on.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. And then I have one other baseball note because the worst keep getting far worse. But in the NFL, a little stat bomb was floated out on Sunday after an interception was overturned from Patrick Mahomes. And it was like since 2018, Patrick Mahomes has had more interceptions overturned than any other player in the NFL. Bum, bum, bum. So what they're saying is that, led the tinfoil hatters on Twitter to say, see, the NFL is just protecting Mahomes and the Chiefs. And look, I became very accustomed to seeing this with Tom Brady over the years, where people just like, nope, there's no way these guys are that good. They're either cheating, league is trying to protect them and prop them up. Well, Bill Barnwell of ESPN, he was like, fine, I'm going to take a deep dive into this.
This is the kind of, like, it's there's a level of, like, petty insight here. I've done this when I've seen somebody say something about a player in the NBA, and I go, well, I have access to everything, so let me take a look at this.
Well, Barnwell did.
And he did.
And Barnwell knows his foosball.
Yes, he does. And he immediately started using the proper analytics of everything to put everything into context.
Yeah. So let's start at the baseline. Since 2018, no player in the NFL has attempted more passes than Patrick Mahomes.
Which matters because if you're talking about more potential interceptions that are being overturned for by the refs, there's also more opportunity. So you have to understand scale.
Well, the only person within 100 attempts is Jared Goff, who was, oddly enough, 100 attempts less than Mahomes on the dot.
300.
No, it was 100. Jared Goff has attempted 3,508. Mahomes has attempted 3,608.
Oh, he's
and then was the only one within 300.
Only one within 300. Yes.
Jared Goff is the only player within 300 of Patrick Mahomes. So far and away, he has attempted more passes.
Were you surprised to see Goff's name that high?
No.
No? Okay.
I mean, he threw the ball 44 times this past weekend, right?
I don't think
played from behind a lot.
I just don't think that association is often made with Jared Goff and airing the ball out.
Slings it, man. Yeah. Actually, I always associate slinging the ball with Jared Goff.
Really?
Because he played in the air raid in college.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
Like, when that happens, I'm like, you always throw.
Okay.
Jared Goff will always throw ball.
I just don't because that Rams team, when they made it to the Super Bowl, it was the muted Jared Goff.
Yeah, Todd Gurley.
Yeah, that's what I always have in my head.
Yeah. So Mahomes has thrown more attempts than anybody in the league, and it's not particularly close. Okay. He also leads a lot of categories outside of attempts, and does not lead in interceptions, oddly enough. But the play against the Bengals that is being kind of thrown out there as Mahomes gets bailed out by the officials for bad refereeing, that statistic doesn't take into account the free play, right? When a defensive player jumps off sides
and you take advantage of it,
a quarterback can take a risk, throw the ball up, doesn't matter what happens because you're either getting 5 yards or a touchdown, right?
Mhm.
So if you wipe those out, that is 8 of the 17 interceptions that have been overturned. 8 of the 17. You're almost at half of those interceptions are on offsides, which that's not an official bailing you out. That penalty is thrown before the play even starts, and he knows it.
And so he's
Okay.
taking advantage of an opportunity.
So you take 8 of them off the board on that one. The ones that people could be saying are, all right, costly are the holding, pass interference, roughing the passer, illegal contact, in all of those, right?
Mhm.
So one of them is actually a roughing the passer from Matthew Judon back when he was a Baltimore Raven. So that brings us down to 16. Okay. 16 of them are PI, defensive holding, illegal contact downfield. That's a pretty incredible number right there. If you take those 8, that is 1 in every 452 attempts from Patrick Mahomes since 2018.
Mhm.
That an official has taken an interception and taken it off the board.
No counties.
That is a pretty staggering number. I mean, that's a really, really staggering number. What Barnwell said further was it's one of the higher rates that he can find, but there's one quarterback who has a higher rate of interceptions overturned since referees in 2018.
And he was in that game.
It's Joe Burrow.
Mm.
His is 1 in every 327 attempts. Burrow has an interception overturned for a PI, defensive holding, etc. So the team that was griping about it the most actually has the quarterback that gets the most calls. And it's by a wide margin over Mahomes.
I don't like it.
Yeah?
I don't like it.
You just would rather bury your head and say that Patrick Mahomes is getting bailed out by the officials?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's more
As
fun
an
that
AFC
way.
West rival, yes, he would.
It's much more fun that way.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I don't like, and these are the things that it gets really old when one team is just winning over and over and over again.
Mhm.
And you're like staring down the barrel of, whether it was the Steelers in the 70s, the Niners in the 80s, the Cowboys in the 90s. And you're just like, well, here we go again, right? The Patriots in the 2000s. And now you have the Kansas City Chiefs in the 2020s, which they are a juggernaut. And we all just look for the reasons to try and knock them down a peg.
It's more fun that way.
Yeah, I mean, let's knock them down a peg for more so for the Kareem Hunt. And Andy Reid saying today, yeah, we did our research on Kareem Hunt. Yeah, how deep did that go?
He's grown up since 2018. That
Yeah.
was the line that they used.
All right,
Which,
sure,
okay.
we know why you're doing this.
'Cause
Don't
you
hide it from us.
Because you don't care.
You don't. You really don't care because you have a Super Bowl window that is open right now, and you don't know how long it's going to be for, and so you got to keep it open as long as you can. And you need a running back because Isaiah Pacheco is going to be out 6 to 8 weeks.
And Kareem Hunt run really fast.
Yeah, and he has familiarity with what you do.
Yeah, whether it's Tyreek Hill, whether it's Kareem Hunt, whether it's Rashee Rice, like it's evident right now. You, as an organization, do not care.
Is that the thing though that we go with, like? Is it more palatable for people to just get fed the BS, and even though it's so easy to see through, or would we handle it better if there was honesty and transparency?
Well,
and
there are
Andy Reid
organizations.
just said it.
There are organizations in sports that do not care. The Kansas City Chiefs, Oklahoma City Thunder. Those are two organizations that do not care. in
But
their
then they
respective
feed us.
sports.
They feed us a lot of BS
yeah.
with both Josh Giddey
yeah.
and.
But I also
instances like that.
also know that there are franchises, particularly in the NBA, that would not and will not touch anything that has to do with Josh Giddey, anything that has to do with Kevin Porter Jr.,
Bridges.
anything has to do with Miles Bridges. Now, they aren't going to come out and say it because there's agents and stuff like that, but they will have nothing. They will go nowhere near them, and they do not care how many wins it gets them.
Yeah.
And I wish they would kind of get out in front of it and say that, as opposed to just like letting the unspoken part be out there. But I get why they don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would like there to be a dividing line of like, No, when we say we will do anything to win, we mean anything.
Yeah,
If
that's
that-
what Al Davis did with your Raiders. Like he didn't care.
And the thing was, they were open and honest about it. Steroids, fine. Criminals, fine. Rebar in your forearm pad, fine. Like they did not care at all. And when I say rebar in your forearm pad and you think I'm joking, I'm not even remotely kidding.
Fred Biletnikoff catching a ball with his
forearm because he had like pine tar and stickum.
Yeah.
Cliff Branch had rebar in his forearm pad when he used to freaking clothesline people. Like that team was insane for 25 years. Criminals, insane asylums, spitting in people's faces, kicking people in the nuts when they're down. Like it was a nasty, vicious, awful team. And you know what? Everybody embraced it because they knew what it was.
Yep. Yeah. Jordan on the Vancouver Ford text line. The only thing that gets old faster than a team winning all the time is fans bitching that it's rigged. I agree.
Nah.
I wholly agree. It sucks.
There is a level of riggedness to the Patriots, to the Chiefs. There is, and then there's the get down, Mr. President calls that Tom Brady got, that Patrick Mahomes gets. It happens. It's fine, but it happens across sports.
Yeah, that's not rigged. That's not. Rigged.
I wouldn't say no. Rigged is Tim Donaghy.
Yeah.
That's rigged. But favoritism, yes, favoritism does exist for the top teams across sports. It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It is.
But to the level that people think it does, and this is why I think Barnwell does a really good job of breaking it down.
No,
like,
it's fantastic.
Barnwell is saying, sure, he may get a roughing the passer that he shouldn't every now and then, but to the point of it was only once, right, that he got a roughing the passer and it got overturned.
The interception, yeah.
But it's like, it's not to the level that you think it is.
No.
Right?
It's just the thing that amplifies it with the Chiefs is they seemed, again, pull that horseshoe out of their back end at the most important moment in the game.
Yes.
That's what amplifies it.
That was not, like, that's not even the play in question, though.
No.
Like, you're looking at the pass interference late in the game. Dude, that was PI.
Yeah.
I mean, that was PI.
I can see a world where you don't throw it, but you're going to throw that flag. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to, that flag is going to be thrown. I don't.
It wasn't so egregious where you're like, I can't believe they threw the flag. We were watching the Manning cast, and Peyton was complaining about a hold in the back of the end zone in the Falcons Eagles game. And it was like, I mean, there's something there, but if you threw a flag on that,
that's also a quarterback who will
once
always
it every
say
time.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, nope, hands on his hip. It's got to be a hold. It's
you got to call that. It's
come
like,
on.
But so it wasn't anything along those lines.
Yeah, and that Colin made a good point too. Is like, today he said, they went down, they did a deep dive after the Deflategate thing when the NFL was checking Brady's balls more stringent than anybody else after Deflategate.
Did he tell him to turn his head and cough?
They probably did. But the 16 games after that were Tom Brady's statistically most efficient games of his career.
That's pettiness.
And so, but people always say, well, Brady, all he did was cheat. That's not the reason why Tom Brady was great.
Yes, it is.
This is not the reason why Patrick Mahomes is
the only
great.
reason Tom Brady was good.
These are both very triggering for you. Both of these quarterbacks. These aren't the reasons why those guys are great. It's the reason that people glom onto, though.
Yeah,
and I love that Barnwell shot it down before anybody else.
Oh, the thing was, I appreciated it instead of like, it's going to be this or it's going to be that. He did the work first. That's what Bill Barnwell is one of the few kind of, I think, like more traditional journalists in that sense, in that space now of like, let's do the legwork.
Yeah.
As I mean, you can tell stories, you can tell narratives like, this is a thing that we hear discussed all the time. I have the capacity to look this up. Let's spend some time and like, this is actually as opposed to, hey, X is Y, in whatever it is in sports. This is like the space that I think that is the most interesting. I mean, there's a story that out there right now. Came out this morning about the salary cap in the NFL and how you can find space with insurance, like these tangential things that you can just kind of find in the game now that are I think are more important in the coverage of the game than the other meandering nonsense.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, you mentioned traditional journalists. guy stepped down today who is
Hey.
not traditional in the way that the NBA was covered. No more Woj bombs from us. Let's discuss, because there's a local connection to who may be next. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. Ravishing Rick Rude. All right. Adrian Wojnarowski has announced he is retiring from the news breaking biz. ESPN and Woj have been attached at the hip since 2017 when he came over from Yahoo Sports, and the Woj bomb became something that has been a part of our lexicon in the NBA circles for years now.
Is that all? It feels like longer than 2017.
Well, we've known him for longer than that, because the reason why ESPN hired him is because he was a massive newsbreaker at Yahoo before that.
I guess that makes sense.
And so but the Woj bomb became amplified when it was on every television.
Right.
And so for 7 years, it's been Woj bomb after Woj bomb that we have come accustomed to seeing and hearing. But today it kind of came out of left field that Woj is going to be stepping down as the newsbreaker and lead NBA writer for ESPN. He also he runs the entire NBA department at ESPN.
Oh.
So he's like Windhorse's boss. He's anybody who's a writer for ESPN, Woj is the big boss man there.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah. So he's been a guy that's had a lot of control and he's had a lot of power at ESPN for several years now. And it obviously it's going to be weird to see like with this hole now in news breaking because it allows Shams Charania to be the guy for the NBA initially. But ESPN's going to backfill with somebody, whether it's Brian Windhorst, who gets fed all of the information instead of Woj, or it could potentially be a guy that's worked here for a long time, Chris Haynes, who stepped away from Yahoo Sports, and he's seeking. I don't think he's with TNT anymore. So
Bleacher Report.
You're seeing
I wanna say was
that's
his-
under the TNT
Or
umbrella.
was it? Okay.
It's the Turner family
Okay.
is Bleacher Report, but he's not doing the TV work for TNT anymore.
Okay.
And so we could see him just get swooped up by ESPN, and that'd be a huge come up for a guy who's covered the league here in Portland before. But it would be a vast change in coverage
Yeah.
because of where Woj gets his information from as opposed to where Chris Haynes gets his information from.
Yeah. Agents versus players.
Franchises versus players
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
You know, like Haynes is really good at getting stuff from the players and from the players' angle. And, you know, that there was always a criticism of him here in Portland that he was too close to guys like Dame and CJ, right? And that clouded his coverage of the team. I don't think it did. Haynes did a damn fine job. And he is a great dude, and there's a reason why people in the NBA gravitate towards him.
Yeah.
And it's not just because he was a young black journalist who was really good at his job. It's because he is damn good at building relationships with anybody and conveying that message and articulating it well. And is it player skewed? Yeah, it absolutely is player skewed. But Woj was wholly like team and franchise skewed.
Yes.
And there's a massive difference in the way that what information comes in and what that information looks like.
Yeah, and let's face it, there's nobody that's getting that information from all sides of each party. You know what I mean?
Goodness, no.
No.
But I think one thing that both Woj and Haynes do a good job of is it's not just, hey, I'm just going to get this report, fire it out there, and then I'm just going to let it go. And
Right.
there's integrity to the reporting that they have in that they double check their sources. They will make sure that everything is dialed in and they get it straight from the horse's mouth more often than not.
Yeah.
But Woj stepping away is odd.
It is odd.
It comes as a surprise.
It does come as a surprise, and I was surprised to hear it too. But what I also find surprising isn't the right word, but it just seems like the reaction to him retiring and stepping away,
like
from,
he's dead.
Yeah, it's just all the fawning over him, and
Yeah.
it's a bit over the top for me.
I agree with that. But I do find there was one fantastic tweet that I absolutely loved.
Uh-huh.
This comes to us from Craigory Smith on Twitter. Adrian Wojnarowski got woken up in the middle of the night to be told Isaac Okoro was signing a 3-year, $38 million deal to return to the Cavs and immediately reevaluated his life.
Yeah, that makes sense. That might cause you to look in the mirror a little bit, huh? Just
Yeah.
what am I doing here?
I feel like at that moment, like that song just started playing
Is this
in
all worth
Woj's
it?
mind, like the epiphany. You know what? I'm missing out on a lot.
Yeah.
This isn't the life I want to live. So thank you, Craigory Smith. Which I hope Craigory is a name. because
Right.
it's fantastic.
Yes.
I've never seen Craigery before.
No.
It looks as weird as it sounds.
Yeah. Oh man.
But I saw that tweet and it gave me a good chuckle because I bet there was that moment for him where he was just like,
Yeah.
I can't do this.
Well, and I forget
What
who
are
it
we
was
doing
that
now?
brought up this good point, but just think of it this way: whether he's on vacation or holidays or whatever, he is never off the clock.
Always on.
Telling a story about I don't remember if it was a trade deadline or a draft or whatever, and he's sitting there with his multiple different phones, and one of them he was using so much that it started smoking. So he opened it up, took out the SIM card, threw that one in the trash, and then put the SIM card in a new phone and just kept going.
That's not a life. That's not a life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a
But
life.
just imagine him trying to sit down at dinner like with his wife on their wedding anniversary, and I think hang on, honey, I got to tweet this.
Yeah. Boy, this is Rufio with a great text. I'm going to work on this. I'm going to try to find this because I don't know the answer. What was the original Woj bomb? What was the first breaking news that coined the term?
Oof,
Yeah.
that is a good one.
I will find that out. I will find out. This is going to be my third life's work. I feel like this one is going to be the most attainable quickly. What was the original Woj bomb?
Yeah.
Danny, do you know what the original Woj bomb was? Like where the term Woj bomb?
It actually originated when he was a author at Yahoo, when he would have takedown pieces.
Oh.
Most people don't realize that Woj used to be a pretty decent profile writer.
So we don't know which the first where it first came from though. Like where we started
It
using.
might have been his first LeBron takedown.
That would be Miami.
Yeah.
The fallout in Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Okay.
Or when he left for Miami.
Yeah. Now people are asking.
But it was an OG thing. Like it came from his writing, not the tweets.
Biggest Woj bomb you remember? I know what mine is.
Ooh, biggest Woj bomb. Bubble's up there.
Mine is the NBA has suspended the entire season.
Yeah.
Like that was like
huge.
that was the biggest one that sticks out to me is when but that I was like, whoa.
Because even with it's probably that because I remember I was sitting courtside the night before and I was talking to one of the big names from Adidas behind the scenes about, do you think this is going to be anything? This was before COVID, and we knew I don't think so. I don't think they're going to shut down. And one of the PR folks came out from the Blazers like, I don't think this is like it's going to impact things for a couple days, but we'll be back to normal. And I remember everybody I talked to that night being like, no, it's fine. And then the next day,
Yeah.
it hitting, and it was like, oh.
Okay.
That escalated quickly because all the other big ones, like Dame getting traded, was a surprise. Like that that it was happening, but we all knew. Like LeBron going to Lakers.
Yeah, as my cursory search of the first term, the Woj bomb, it was when he was with Yahoo when he published this line. NBA owners have pushed Commissioner David Stern to kill the deal, sending Chris Paul to the Los Angeles Lakers, sources tell Yahoo Sports.
There you go.
That's kind of like that's the earliest like, whoa, this is a Woj bomb. And then so he was the first to report that apparently. I will say the other one outside of the NBA season being suspended due to COVID where I went, oh, I think COVID is going to be a big deal, is when he was the one. Remember all of the information that was coming out about Kobe Bryant and who was on the helicopter, who wasn't. Remember people killed Rick Fox at first.
Yeah,
Woj was the first person to pop on
have
ESPN
everybody.
to be like, Kobe Bryant is dead. His daughter died, and 2 members of the team, and the 3 other parents. I was like, oh,
yeah. No, I mean, but as far as like breaking news and being the guy, like Woj has been the face of it, and he is what shaped Adam Schefter, Jeff Passan. Like Schefter gets paid more because he's in the NFL.
Yep.
Not because he paved this path. Woj is the preeminent, the alpha info broker.
Yeah.
Like, he is the one that made this a thing.
Oof.
It's going to be really interesting to see who ends up taking that position. Is it Brian Windhorst? Is it Shams? Is it Chris?
Yeah.
Because it will impact how things are covered
Yep.
drastically.
All right, 503-864-6326. That'd be the Vancouver Ford text line. You out. You're going to go to the WNBA announcement.
Indeed. I'm heading
today.
over to the press conference
All right,
to see what's going on over there.
Check Danny at Danny Meringue. Maybe we'll, if they're done.
I'll call Ben.
Yeah, call in.
Yeah.
Call in if they're done.
Cool.
All right, Danny's out. We got the worst day on the web right now where Dover, not just from Wayne's World 2. Danny and Dusty, here's Rust.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Langdon Farms Golf Club. Good or bad weather, the golf course is always the driest around. Download the Langdon Farms app today to get all the latest news and specials. First on The Fan, the WNBA announced this morning the league will expand to Portland for its 15th franchise and will begin playing the 2026 season at Moda Center. Portland joins the Golden State Valkyries and a Toronto franchise as the league's most recent additions. Oregon State football has agreed to a home-and-home with Wake Forest. The Demon Deacons will make the trip to Reser Stadium in 2025, while the Beavers will head to Winston-Salem in 2029. Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh says Justin Herbert's ankle injury is, quote, feeling much better, but he did not participate in practice today. If he can't go, Easton Stick will get the start. And the Mariners' postseason hopes fading away by the day. Now 5 games behind the Astros in the American League West with 11 games remaining. 3 games behind the Twins for the final wild card spot. Where are we at here? With the Tiger sandwich in between, the Mariners hosting the Yankees again tonight. Bryce Miller on the bump for Seattle. Nestor Cortez for New York. You can catch that game tonight on 910 ESPN Portland. Coverage starts at 6, first pitch at 6:40. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Fan Merch Locker has new shirts from the fan shows and hosts you love. Get yours now at 1080thefan.com.
Aloha, it's Marcus from the 808. Need some aloha in your day? You need 808 Hawaiian Restaurant, bro, on East Burnside.
Time for today's worst day on the web. With Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
That sucks.
All right, our worst day on the web. Have you ever been like stuck on a boat, like a vessel that has ever stopped, or hell, stranded in the middle of nowhere in your car, like run out of gas anywhere in the middle of nowhere?
We did one time when I was a kid. My dad had a sailboat, and we got stuck on a sandbar in the Columbia by Government Island.
You see, that it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like you're just lonely, and it's like at least people are going by
right
there.
Yeah, it took a couple of other helpers to help get our boat unstuck.
Well, this just sounds like a mad lib of confusion here, and it is our worst day on the web. An Albanian man called the Dover, Delaware Police Department in a panic.
Or imagine being able to be magically whisked away to Delaware. Hi, I'm in Delaware.
Where the Albanian man in a panic was trying to relay information about his brother whose boat had stopped working and he was stranded. Okay. And as the dispatcher was on the phone with this Albanian man, not much was making sense about the location of this boat. That's because the Albanian man, who had been in communication with his brother who was stranded, was trying to connect with Dover, England, instead of Dover, Delaware.
Whoops.
The dispatcher, though, in the panic, was quick on their feet. It was like, all right, hey, okay, well, we're going to try to get coordinates here. We'll get this thing figured out. And this is now a call to the Dover, Delaware Police Department. Within 4 minutes, Officer Connor Logan had made contact with the U.S. Coast Guard, the French Coast Guard, His Majesty's Coast Guard in England, the United Kingdom's Maritime and Coast Guard Agency Coordination Center, and the police station in Dover, Delaware. And within 15 minutes and 48 seconds after the initial call, the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency confirmed rescuers were on their way to get this guy who was stuck in the English Channel, not in Delaware. And they ended up finding the guy, and all is well. But could you imagine? Could you imagine being that person, just like picking up the phone call, like, "Hey, 911, what's your emergency?" Yeah, I'm stuck in the English Channel. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Usually, probably going to get dismissed relatively quickly there. But this dude, this Albanian man, calls the United States because all he did, the confusion started where he just was like, I was in contact with my brother, we lost service, and he was stranded. All he did was Google Dover Police Department, and Dover, Delaware came up first on the Google searches, not Dover, England. So take that, Dover, England. We're number one, Dover, Delaware.
Even while you're searching even while you're searching overseas, do you still come up with?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dover, Delaware.
Yikes.
Yeah. That would be terrifying, though, to be stuck on a boat at sea, or hell, even in the English Channel there.
Yeah.
But that's pretty quick. That's pretty quick turnaround time. 15 minutes and 48 seconds from the initial call.
Not too shabby.
They already had a dispatcher out across the pond to go and get this guy out of the English Channel. I've never been stuck like out at sea. I'm more like you. Like, it's always been like a river, or a lake where it's like somebody's gonna come by. You know, somebody's I'm not chasing waterfalls.
No,
I'm not going out in the ocean. You know,
Yeah.
I'm sticking around. That is what terrifies me about like going on a boat in like out into the open waters.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Mm-mm.
Well, because yesterday, I don't remember if it was on In the News or in the Club Hour, Isaac was talking about there was an open water situation, basically. There was one where the scuba divers came up and their boat was gone because they were each other's buddy to keep tabs on.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether they miscounted or what, but so yeah, they were just floating without the boat out in open water.
Whoa.
Yeah.
No.
Just like the movie.
No, thank you.
Yeah, no thank you.
No, thank you.
No thank you.
I don't like it. It doesn't like swimming in the ocean doesn't bother me.
Mm-mm.
But like if I can't see the land, I start getting a little uneasy.
Yeah. Well, not
And
really.
I never want to go on a cruise. Like a cruise, there's nothing about a cruise seems appealing to me.
Yeah, being stuck on a big boat with how many thousands of other people?
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
And it's like, I know they have a lot of activities. There's a lot of things to do there. That doesn't sound like a good time. And then you add on top of it, like, yeah, we're going out in the middle of the ocean too.
Yeah.
No.
And like, I'm not going to be affording one of those swanky cabins up top too. I'm going to be down there with Leo in the bottom.
You're damn right. You're going to be with Jack and the rest of the poors
Yeah.
down at the bottom of that boat.
Exactly.
I don't like
No,
a
thank you.
cruise does not. That is something that I've never been like. Tropical vacations, yes, totally in on. I've actually heard though the cruises that are the best are the ones that are the Alaska cruise.
Uh-huh.
I've heard is amazing.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, you should go. No, I'm good.
I'm good.
Mm-mm. No,
It's cold up there. Lots of icebergs.
I'm gonna die in the ocean and cold. No.
Right. Just going to ensure that I get hypothermia that much faster.
Yeah. And this texture too. Cruise drinks way too spendy. You got to sneak your booze on there like you're 16 years old again.
I thought all that stuff was like included.
No, like the all-inclusive cruises are really spendy, but like drinks on the cruise on the boat, way more.
Like going to the stadium.
You see people, yes, yes. You see people that are like going on boarding a cruise ship, and it's like shampoo bottles full of booze. You know,
Yeah.
like you're sticking them down your drawers as you're getting on the boat.
Why
No.
does the Pantene smell like Cuervo?
Yeah. Let me go ahead and bring my own booze. Why don't we have BYOB cruises?
Right?
Sheesh.
It's called
Man.
a party barge.
Yeah. Another Vancouver text line, 3-hour cruise. Yeah, I've seen Gilligan's Island.
Yeah,
It was
right?
a 3-hour tour.
Yeah.
No. People don't give Captain enough credit.
Mm-mm.
Well, blame, not credit.
Well, I mean,
You know, I
what's he supposed to
understand.
do
it
on
was-
that little boat?
I understand there was a storm, but you're the captain of that ship. You know, you should have been the first to go. When people started getting hungry, you should have been the first to go. I'm not gonna let you just slide on this, Captain.
Skipper.
Yeah, the skipper.
The skipper.
Yeah, and your first mate was Gilligan. There's first red flag.
Right?
Come on.
Yeah.
All right. And the other problem with cruises, they're a petri dish for anybody that's sick, spreading it to everybody else.
Well, remember when
Booyah.
COVID hit?
Yeah.
All those people stuck out there.
Stuck at sea, you know? No, I'm not. I don't know when the next COVID's going to happen. I don't want to be stuck at sea when
I
it
don't
does.
want another one. I'd be fine if it didn't happen again.
Yeah.
I'd be
Yeah.
okay with that.
Wow. We have a small world. This texture says it's an interesting worst day for him because he listens and he has an Uncle Ben who lives in Dover, Delaware.
Wow.
Who'd have thunk it?
Is he famous for his rice?
Yeah, if that was his Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben.
Uncle Ben.
There he is.
Or was it Spider-Man?
All right. Yeah. Aunt May, Uncle
Yeah,
Ben.
Yeah. But it's got to be the Marissa
you
Tomei
notice-
version.
Yeah. I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
They made Aunt May really hot.
Yeah, they did.
Tom Holland really lucking out with his Aunt May being
Yeah.
Marissa Tomei.
Right?
I mean, that's a plot twist right there. That's changing Spider-Man as we know it.
Well,
when
and-
Marissa Tomei steps in, you're like, wait a minute, you're not the old lady that I've known.
Well, and
my
you've got
entire
these
life.
movies targeted toward teenage boys. I mean, how confusing is that for them?
Well, a lot of the videos that they're probably watching, they're like, yep, this tracks. All right, 503-864.
When's Aunt May getting caught in the dryer?
6326. That is the Vancouver Ford text line. Still to come, we got NFL. There's one player that everybody says nobody gets second chances anymore, and I think he is 100% a second chance, and I'm fully on board with him after hearing what he had to say. The latest in recruiting violations in college football as well. But coming up next, I got a couple baseball notes for us. Got some want to hit some baseball notes?
Yeah, let's do some baseball stuff.
Yeah, and it's not entirely Mariner sadness related. Danny Dusty on the Fan. All right, let's get to some baseball notes and nuggies here. Currently, the Seattle Mariners.
Baseball stuff!
The Seattle Mariners are 5 games back of the Houston Astros for the AL West lead. That seems to be dwindling away with each approaching day. Now 3 back of the Minnesota Twins for the final wild card spot. And look, the baseball gods may be very cruel, but they must have an incredible sense of humor. Because the one thing about the Seattle Mariners in both of those races, trying to chase down the Astros and trying to chase down the Minnesota Twins, is there is one number that would fix their problems. And it's not a number they want to hear. It is 54%.
Oh.
Yeah. Currently at 82-69, the Houston Astros are leading the AL West, winning 54.3% of their games on the season.
Oh, no.
Yeah. The Minnesota Twins, the final wild card team right now, 80-71, winning 53% of their games. So after an offseason where everybody got so upset at Jerry Dipoto for saying 54% is what winning teams win at, they could miss the postseason this year by failing to win 54% of their games.
Ouch.
If they were to get to 54% of their games, likely in the postseason, which may be the most cruel and also hilarious number that the baseball gods could sit on for the AL wild card or the AL West win. Because it's not a number that would win you any other division in baseball. But it is for the AL West this year.
Wow.
And it could be the number that holds the Seattle Mariners out of the postseason. Isn't that cruel?
Mariners fans just can't catch a break.
No.
Oh,
no.
Man. Good Lord. Just imagine if they had one dude on that roster that could hit.
Yeah.
Like with any sort of consistency.
Consistency, yeah. I mean, you look at it in 619 runs allowed. That's actually the second best in their division. It's the second best in the American League. The Oakland A's have only allowed, it's the second worst runs scored at 619 runs scored, only to the Oakland Athletics. They've allowed 575 runs this year, which is the best in the American League. You have the second fewest runs scored, and you have allowed the fewest in all of baseball. A plus 44 run differential. I mean, they don't. You have games like last night, right, where it gets away from you. It's 11-2, but at the same time, they lose really tight games.
Yeah,
because you're just not allowing very many runs. 575 runs allowed is the best in all of baseball. 579, the Atlanta Braves, next closest. That sucks.
Yeah,
and that hurts. Like that just makes the sting a little bit worse, right?
Mm-hmm.
With this pitching staff performing the way that it has, and how good they've been and how consistent they've been. But it could be worse. I mean, you could be the Chicago White Sox. I didn't know that this was part of the new collective bargaining agreement, but Spot Track tweeted this out yesterday. Despite entering the final 2 weeks of the season with 115 losses, the Chicago White Sox will not draft higher than 10th in the 2025 draft. Because in the latest collective bargaining agreement, large market teams cannot own back-to-back lottery picks. So Chicago selected 5th this past July. They will not be eligible to be in the top 9 picks of the Major League Baseball draft. And they have lost now, that was 115 yesterday. They've now lost 116 games this season, have a run differential of negative 312.
Oh, sweet fancy Moses.
The Colorado Rockies, very bad at baseball.
Yeah.
They are minus 218. The White Sox are minus 312. So it could always be worse. You could be the White Sox who you're bad, but you can't even get a high draft pick either.
Sounds like Blazers.
Baseball. It does. It kind of does. It kind of would that be the way that you'd want to go? You're just like, we're not going to win that lottery anyway, so just don't even put us in there.
Yeah, right. I'd rather just know I'm getting 15th than thinking we could have a chance to get the 1 and wind up at 7.
Yeah, true dat. True dat. Also, yesterday from baseball, we applauded baseball for not having any stupid unwritten rules violations this past year.
Oh, yes?
Well, we did have Hardo ump yesterday. Jose Altuve got ejected last night, top of the 9th inning against the Padres. Score was 3-3 in the top of the 9th inning. Altuve hits a soft grounder down the third base line, and he promptly got thrown out. Well, Altuve never ran to first base, and it was because he fouled the ball off of his foot.
Mm-hmm.
And so it should have been a foul ball.
Right.
The umpire is like, nah, bro, not going to do this. So Jose Altuve goes, shoeless Jose, and he took his shoe off because the trainer came out to go look at his foot, and he showed them, the umpire, the bruise on his foot. And as he was sitting there in his little tiny feet out of his shoes, he points down, and the umpire takes a look at Altuve, which means Altuve must have said
he said some sort of magic word.
You. Yeah, a magic word with you.
Yeah.
And then umpire goes, nope, run, you're tossed, which may have been the most adorable ejection of all time. Altuve with his little shoes off like he's at the beach in San Diego.
Yeah. Well, funny how willing he was to take his sock and shoe off, but not let his jersey get ripped off.
Hey,
that one time,
easy
huh?
now. Easy now. We're going to Mahomes this all over again.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. He wasn't cheating on this one. Ball went off his foot. Okay. We have the video.
Yeah.
We have the Zapruder film. We've seen it. All right. There's your baseball stuff. There's all your baseball stuff. 54% Mariners fans. That's going to haunt you forever. All right. Let's get to hour number 3 with a player that the redemption arc, and if you don't think people get second chances, this guy's gotten it and he's knocked it out of the park. Next on the Fan. Hour number 3, Danny and Dusty here on this Wednesday afternoon. The Orangutan is currently at the WNBA press conference. WNBA coming back to Portland. If you missed our conversation about that in hour number 1, check it out. The Audio Vault on the Odyssey app or at 1080thefan.com. Also, you can just rewind on YouTube. You know, you can watch any of the shows all over again.
You can go hit chapters on the Odyssey app too.
Shoosh. But we had, the WNBA coming back. Big deal, man. It's a big deal for the city because, again, you get a WNBA team back. It is good for local economy and the fact that the WNBA is rising in popularity and rising in viewership. Coming back in 2026, it'll be their first season. Still waiting on a name.
Yes.
For this team. But 2026 is when they will be back. It is huge for women's sports here locally in the area, and I'm here for it, man. So,
and Portland has proven to be a great supporter of women's sports.
Oh, my gosh. Absolutely. Absolutely. From the Thorn support to the first ever women's sports bar in the country was opened here with the sports bra. So yeah, women's sports here, it means a lot. And I think it's great for the city of Portland that the WNBA is coming back. All right. Go a little NFL here. Baker Mayfield's been playing lights out. Last year, we've said it time and time again, he played like a top 10 quarterback in the NFL last year. The first 2 weeks of the season, he's played like a top 5 quarterback. And this is a guy that people wrote off after a clunky start to his career in Cleveland, after his redemption tour in Carolina went absolutely sideways. And today he was asked about not just him, but Sam Darnold and their time that they spent in Carolina, and was asked about Bryce Young. And I think that oftentimes we hear guys that get labeled a way, and it's like, oh, people are unfair. People can't change, whatever. They don't get their second chances. I'm starting to buy in more and more to Baker Mayfield because this sounds like a guy who is actually matured and hasn't just said it and it been fluff.
Obviously, mine didn't happen in the same time frame with Bryce, but quarterback's hard, especially for young guys when you're not surrounded with the pieces that not given the opportunity to have success. And so that's a lot of the time guys have the talent, they might have the brains, but they don't have the right opportunity, the right fit. I'm sitting here right now in a way better fit than the other places I've been. And that's not to put other teams down, but it's a matter of the pieces around you, the coaches, and for Bryce, a guy that, I can relate to this, finding that belief within yourself again, and he'll get it. His story's far, far from finished.
I like that from Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
I think that is a guy who has been humbled. He has been shown the other side of things after, the guy stepped in it. It's not just, the arrest at Oklahoma where he gets tackled by a cop and just did not show great breakaway speed there, for being honest. But it wasn't just that, but the planting the flag that he got criticized for at Ohio State, the grabbing his junk directed towards the Kansas sideline, was it? The guy, it was just like those little things. His time in Cleveland where, people just said he was more of a partier and living the NFL lifestyle than wanting to be a great NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
The whole Cheesecake Factory incident.
Yes.
Back behind the Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah.
That is a guy who is young, immature, has stepped in it, did not perform well either.
Mm-hmm.
And you've kind of seen the way that he has handled himself, especially in Tampa, has been like a professional would, like a grown-up. And I think that hearing him say that about Bryce Young, now Baker didn't come in with all of the same knocks as Bryce Young.
Right.
People said he's too short, which he's taller than Bryce Young.
Still short for an NFL quarterback.
And Bryce Young's listed at 6'2", but he is a skinny man, and nobody's ever said that about Thick Boy Baker.
Right.
But it was also, I think, he's speaking to what Caleb Canales really tried to hammer home during the OTAs about Bryce Young.
By the way, did you say 6'2" for Bryce Young?
Yeah, what is he? Was he
5'10"?
5'10"?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's short.
Yes.
That is very short. I saw him listed. Somebody had him listed at like 6'2". I was like, there's no effing way.
No way.
So Baker is not 5'10". Bryce Young is like Kyler Murray short and very skinny.
They got Baker at 6'1".
Yeah. Yeah, so he's
Which
probably
still
about
not
6
large
foot.
for an NFL quarterback.
Not at all.
No.
But with Bryce Young, there were these warnings of his stature, his ability to push the ball down the field. But what Dave Canales said was, right now, the on-field stuff was the furthest thing that they were trying to fix with Bryce Young. They were trying to fix Bryce Young's confidence after having what was described in Carolina as 3 different coaches trying to tell him 3 different things, and then zero faith or, there was nobody backing him up, like emotionally,
right,
support-wise, and in Carolina. And that was the thing that Canales, did I say Caleb Canales? That's not right. That's the former Blazers coach.
All I caught was the Canales.
Dave Canales.
Yes.
He has been saying, no, we're trying to just build him up from the base again, which Dave Canales, Baker Mayfield's coach in Tampa.
Uh-huh.
That's what he did.
Well, there we go.
And you heard Baker Mayfield right there. It's like, it's about recapturing the confidence in that you have in trust within yourself.
Uh-huh.
And that's the biggest thing about any of these reclamation projects, right? You heard Kevin O'Connell talking after the Minnesota Vikings beat the San Francisco 49ers, and he was talking about how proud he was of Sam Darnold for finding that confidence again, and the coach getting choked up over that.
Yeah.
That is kind of where you got to start with a guy like Bryce Young at this point. Any highly drafted person who does not live up to the expectations is quarterback is really hard.
Yeah.
Because you are in charge of not just distributing the ball, but pre-snap, everything that you're in charge of, having conviction in the reads that you make and what you're seeing pre and post-snap. You have to be the guy that everyone else on that entire franchise relies on. And that takes an immense amount of confidence.
Well, and hopefully Dave Canales can, kind of resurrect him and lift him up, and we can see what he can be, because between Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, and now with Bryce Young and early in his career, I'm not sure it's the Carolina Panthers that have a quarterback problem. I think it's the Carolina Panthers have a Carolina Panthers problem.
They do. And they really do. And
in poorly run franchises, there's probably a reason why Baker Mayfield didn't succeed in Cleveland either.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then there's also the aspect of, and Baker touched on it too, and I've been beating this drum. Like, you can't expect a guy to be a great quarterback with no weapons around him.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. Your offensive line is bad. The weapons at receiver on the outside are bad.
Yeah.
What do you expect? And then you add on top of that his limitations physically.
Yeah, you're not putting him in a position to succeed.
What? And Canales looks like he should be standing up there with like a newspaper as a proof of life. It looks like he's being held hostage when he's trying to talk about we just want to keep things private on the conversations on how everything went down. Yeah, that's because your owner has an edict that he is coming down from his mountaintop saying, no, this is what needs to happen, and you're not in control of it. And that sucks. That sucks for Dave Canales. It sucks for the Carolina Panthers and their fans. But Baker Mayfield, his redemption arc is pretty steep, man, because that was a guy that a lot of people were out on. And now he's lighting up the NFL, and he's handling himself like an adult.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to see with Baker.
Yeah, it's a nice little redemption story. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to the latest in recruiting violations in college football, because this is awesome. It's great. It's juicy. Actually, it's more buttery, I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe a little flaky.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a recruiting violation that is absolutely worth it. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. I got a buddy, my co-host on the program pod, Cole Linehan. If you like the Ducks, download the program podcast. He has a story. Remember my wrestling buddies? Remember wrestling buddies?
Oh, yeah.
Stuffed
The
animals?
the stuffed guys, the
Yeah.
stuffies.
I mean, we all wanted Macho Man or Ultimate Warrior or
The
Hulkster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Andre the Giant.
And he got one year, and it was Ted DiBiase. He got the $1 Million Man.
That
And it's
does-
like, that's a letdown.
That is a bit of a letdown.
That's a letdown.
Yeah.
But it was, those are the days you had to go to Toys R Us. You couldn't Amazon that bad boy.
Nope.
You had to go, and you had to go to the Toys R Us over off 217, right
Yeah.
next to the Shanco,
Yeah.
on the west corner of Highway 217 and Shoals Ferry Road.
Open Monday through Friday till 8.
Saturday and Sunday till 5. Yeah, that was back before they were online at Shanco.com. All right. Well, we have a new recruiting violation in college football. We knew that this was going to happen. We're seeing across the board. The NCAA's backing away, man. They are stepping back in the world of NIL. It's a different animal. But every now and then, you're going to have a coach who has it within himself. He has the gall. He has the wherewithal to step out and publicly make a recruiting violation, and that's exactly what Marshall head coach Charles Huff did prior to their meeting against The Ohio State University.
Would love to have some of those guys from Ohio State too. So if they want to transfer on down, we've got a Tudor's Biscuit NIL, all you can eat. So if any of those guys that run really, really fast at Ohio State like Tudor's Biscuits, I promise you, all you can eat all day if you transfer here. So, but yeah.
All you can. And now, can I just throw this one out there for you?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the reason why your team isn't fast, Coach Huff.
All you can eat.
All you can
day.
eat biscuits. And by the way, Tudor's Biscuit World is a restaurant chain, and it's found in West Virginia, which is where Marshall is, and they got an NIL deal with the Marshall Thundering Herd. I'll tell you that it perked my attention. All you can eat biscuits. I mean, maybe you're going to get some more linemen than receivers, but this may be a two-parter. It might be the reason why your team is so slow. Is they're just eating all those biscuits from Tudor's Biscuit World? Or maybe it's the millions of dollars they can get at Ohio State that's keeping them there. I love that from Charles Huff.
Absolutely. That's fantastic.
And as funny as that is, his compliance director was just like, oh, God, this is not going to be good.
This is not going to be good.
Every year we get the list of infractions that schools self-report. And when that comes out, and it usually comes out like July-ish, early August, you get the full list of infractions that are self-reported by universities. I can't wait to see how Marshall frames this violation, because this technically is a recruiting violation, an inducement violation by Charles Huff. And it'll be comedy to see how they report this to the NCAA and what the NCAA actually does. Because not all recruiting violations are equal, right? I mean,
not at all.
this is
Just
not...
ask Jim Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh even downplaying just cheeseburger.
Mm-hmm.
No, it wasn't. You know it wasn't. You know that, Jim. We all know that, Jim. That was not all that it was at Michigan. But this is going to be comedy when Marshall has to self-report and somebody has to take that comment very seriously and turn it over to the NCAA.
All you can eat all day.
Tudor's Biscuits, baby. That's how you're going to get the new ones. That's how you're going to get those new recruits. Look, like what are we going to pitch here? Portland State, what are we going to pitch? Give me Portland State.
We got your voodoo donuts.
You got all you can eat voodoo.
Mm-hmm.
You can do voodoo donuts
You
there.
can do
Barney.
You can do some salt and straw.
Yeah, salt. Yeah, that's a good one. What's more? What do we got near the park blocks there? You can do
Let's not talk about the cheerful tortoise.
Why not?
Just it's okay.
Well, yeah, but it's cheerful. It's
Yeah.
right there, right on campus.
It's
there.
not so cheerful these days.
It's right there on campus.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you know something about they got a good food cart pod down there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if we did Jake's? Hey, Jake's.
There we go.
We gotta get some oyster shooters. You do Jake's. That's close enough. We could do Jake's there.
Yeah.
You could do Corvallis. You got American Dream Pizza, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, we still got the McCormick and Schmick's down on the waterfront, or is that gone?
I think that's gone.
Are there any of those left?
I don't think there are any more left.
Yeesh.
I could be wrong on that. Portland State, all you can watch, Mary's Club.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to go across the river. Then there's the A crop. You have all you can eat the steak bites.
Yeah. Short John.
Yeah.
Whooping cough vaccinations.
Right. Come on down to Zoom Care.
It's too soon. I think they're all right. They're playing Boise State.
They're playing, yeah.
They're playing Boise State this weekend. We're back, baby. We're back, baby. Some bangers and mash at Kells.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. See, we're writing it for you, Barney.
They're like mothers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Pine State biscuits.
Mm-hmm.
We got those.
Boom.
That's how you do it.
Yeah,
we got biscuits of our own.
There we go.
In your face, Chuck Huff. Marshall.
You guys in West Virginia.
Yeah. We need those fast guys. Dude, why don't you just go find a Randy Moss who got kicked out of Florida State again? Why don't we just start there?
Yeah.
Go back to your roots.
Find the guys that got in trouble.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are sticking with it. It's working for them.
Golly. Randy Moss, just a cheat code out there.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. Charles Huff giving us a new recruiting violation, and it's going to be a hell of a thing when they have to actually self-report it. In college football, though, there was big news last night. Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports, he broke a little news for us, and it does not bode well for the Pac-12. Spoiler alert. Here's Russ with SportsCenter.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air, serving Portland, Southwest Washington, and the Gorge, online at aneheatingandcooling.com. It's hard to stop a train. First on the Fan, the WNBA announcing this morning the league will expand to Portland for its 15th franchise and will begin playing the 2026 season at Moda Center. Portland joins the Golden State Valkyries and an as-yet unnamed Toronto franchise as the league's most recent additions. Oregon State football has agreed to a home-and-home with Wake Forest. The Demon Deacons will make the trip to Reeser in 2025, while the Beavs head to Winston-Salem in 2029. Over in the NFL, Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh says Justin Herbert's ankle injury is, quote, feeling much better, end quote. However, he did not participate in practice today. If he can't go, Easton Stick would get the start. And the Mariners' postseason hopes slip sliding away. Now just 5 games behind the Astros in the AL West with 11 games remaining. 3 games behind the Twins for the final wild card spot. Tigers sandwiched in between tonight. Mariners hosting the Yankees. Bryce Miller opposite Nestor Cortez. You can catch that game on 910 ESPN Portland. Coverage starts at 6. First pitch at 6:40 and can also be seen on Prime Video. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Got a smart speaker? It's The Fan in your office and every room of your home. Tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
They got a little life like the Undertaker popping up out of the casket. Last night, Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports, gave life to the ACC. We're not sure if this is going to be something that will lead to the ACC surviving, because this is something that it does need approval by the universities, and not just the universities suing the ACC, Florida State and Clemson, but approval by 2/3 of its member institutions as well. But their effort to keep the ACC alive, this could be huge for it. Basically, what they want to do is they want to give a revenue share of the television money based off of performance in football, potentially basketball as well, television ratings, and your media value of the university. So what this will do is basically
It'll give the haves more and the have-nots less.
Yeah, but at the same time, if it's based on the metrics of performance and how many eyeballs are attracted to it, that's what the Pac-10 used to be before the Pac-12 was formed in equal revenue share, and that's why USC got pissed and was like, we want our big share again. We don't like this, even though USC wasn't carrying the weight of a program that athletically deserved the eyeballs because they weren't very good, right? Yeah. But if people watch, that's what they want this to be based off of, because all of the revenues that these leagues operate on are based off of your television deals. So the league already did pass the ACC a performance pool of money. So if you perform better in football and basketball, your school could make upwards of $25 million if you check all the boxes, right? For football, it is qualify for a bowl, finish in top 25, advance in the college football playoff. You could get upwards of $25 million if you hit all of their benchmarks that they have, which is performance-based. So if you're little old Wake Forest and you're not a school that garners a bunch of eyeballs, but you go on a run and you have a great year, you can get extra money performance-wise.
Right. So they're talking about skewing these and adjusting them every season.
Yes, to also include your media value based off of, in large part, television ratings and how much people take your games in. Now, this does benefit some of the smaller schools too, because say you have a year where you play Florida State and you play Miami and you play Louisville, right?
Right.
Where if all of those schools are top 25 schools, more eyeballs are obviously going to be on those games and watching those games. So if your numbers, if you have a tougher schedule, more people are going to be watching your games inherently because they're games of importance.
But wouldn't
right?
that be when Florida State and Miami and such come through and say, but look, these eyeballs on this game are not because of Wake Forest, they're because of us?
Yes, and that is true. And they'll get a bigger chunk because week in and week out, their numbers are going to be bigger than anybody else. Because every week people are watching them, not just the one-off. Hey, yeah, this game's on. People are going to watch for 10 minutes and then gone. So this is the way that the ACC is going to try and help their survival. I don't know if this is going to work.
Right.
Because Florida State and Clemson are going, all right, well, so we have to hit the performance metric. We have to make sure people are watching every single game, every single week. And that's how we don't get just lapped every single year. Is if we do this. Because, look, in 2 years, the SEC and Big Ten are going to be making like $30 million more on average per school.
Right.
And that is top to bottom than the ACC is.
Man.
$30 million a year.
Now, part of these discussions, isn't it also part of it too, talking about amending the end of the grant of rights deal?
Yeah, lopping 6 years off of it. So as it currently stands, the grant of rights, which are the ironclad agreement that you have to pay a steep penalty if you want to leave the conference prior to 2036. And this is what Florida State and Clemson are suing over, is the validity of the grant of rights, and it's not going well in courts. What they're saying is, all right, so what if we take 6 years off of that and we say at 2030, we call no countsies, we're done. and the grant of rights there is an out for the grant of rights. That is going to be the big sticking point for Florida State and Clemson. Is do we want to be stuck for 5 more years and agree to this? Because if you agree to this, then the courts are going to say, all right, we're going to throw this out because you guys are saying you were misled in the original grant of rights. If you agree to stick around till 2030, there's no getting out any earlier.
You're stuck.
But this needs to be passed by 2/3 of the member institutions of the ACC. So there's no guarantee that the Wake Forest, Cal, Stanford, they're going to agree and be on board with this vote either.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be like, well, so you're telling us we have to hit all of the television metrics and the performance metrics to make sure we don't get lapped? Why would we see this as a good deal for us?
Right, exactly. Just to try to hang on to the 2 big pieces here that are already, throwing a hissy fit about things.
But that's a big one, though, is because those are the schools that say, well, we don't have a better option right now. And it's still going to be better than, the $12 million that the Pac-12 is looking at getting per year. It's still better than that we'd be getting. It's not a great lot in life, but it's better than the alternative.
Yeah.
So this will be an interesting life raft for the ACC that they're trying to build for themselves, but there's nothing guaranteed. And I also think that this is why we saw the announcement last week of the Pac-12. The Pac-12 expanded because they knew what the ACC had going and what they were going to try and do to keep their conference alive. The prospects of Stanford and Cal leaving, I still don't think are very high.
Right.
And this is why,
unless it blows up,
you're seeing the ACC be so proactive in their survival, is that they know that there are sharks in the water. They are circling. The ACC knows that, and the Pac-12 knows it too. That's why you get the 4 from the Mountain West. Now that's why you're hearing about Tulane in Memphis, because you want to scrape up those teams before the ACC starts going for scraps too. And it is a good sign that the Pac-12 was proactive finally. They finally did something where they didn't sit on their haunches and wait for good news. They went and created a little news of their own to ensure a little bit of survival. Now you've got to go and if Memphis and Tulane are the 2 teams you're eyeing, you got to go get them.
Yeah.
And you got to go get them now.
Yeah.
Because there's no guarantees that this proposal for the ACC is going to stick, and there's no guarantees that Stanford and Cal are going to come back. Because if you're not proactive in going and getting Memphis and Tulane, Florida State and Clemson leave the ACC. If the ACC goes, fine, we'll go grab those 2 schools. There's no Stanford and Cal wouldn't have a reason to leave. They still have money. The competition's gotten, their path has gotten easier because Florida State and Clemson are gone. It's easier for them.
So say Florida State and Clemson leave, and they'll be going someplace like the SEC, right?
Well, they don't want them. Like, that's the thing. Nobody wants Clemson and Florida State right now.
Yeah.
Because
Big 12?
Because if the SEC goes and they bring in Florida State and Clemson, they then have to go to their TV partners and say, we need $100 million more per year.
Right.
And do you think ESPN's going to be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, probably not.
No, $100 million more a year?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. And the ESPN has the out. They can back out of their ACC agreement in 2027.
Okay.
Which is another layer to all of this.
Right. So my question was going to be, should they leave, how many of the other ACC teams do you see landing in what is currently a power conference? And that's basically excluding the Pac-12. Because by that point...
Outside of Clemson and Florida State.
Because if the ACC... Yeah, outside of them.
Yeah.
Because if the ACC blows up, then that leaves you with 3 power conferences. And that's even kind of saying something for the Big 12.
Well, I think the Big 12 does survive in this because, like, if the SEC or Big 10 don't want Miami, Big 12 would say, yep.
Yeah.
We'll get into South Florida. We already have Central Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So then they're starting to create a pod in that part of the country. I think that the Big 12 will go after Duke. I think the Big 10 goes after North Carolina. And if those two split, we know the Big 12 has their eyes on being a basketball power.
Mm-hmm.
So you add Duke, and then you already have West Virginia, so you're already up in that area. Do you go and try to get Virginia as well? Does the Big Ten want Virginia? They've been rumored to have their eye on UVA
Mm-hmm.
and in Charlottesville. So I think that
Syracuse is a basketball school.
Syracuse, I just think they go back to the Big East.
Yeah.
I think they go to the Big East, and what we may see is like Syracuse, Boston College going back to the Big East because UConn is currently there, and maybe you peel off enough programs to where you can rebuild the Big East as a football conference as well, because that now it's not a power conference for football,
Right.
but if you go and you say, if you get Syracuse, Boston College, Louisville, Pitt, you add Connecticut because they've got football, you're at 5 right there. Wake Forest, add them into a Big East potentially. And I don't know, but like then you have your wild card teams. I don't know what happens to a school like North Carolina State.
Yeah.
Does the state of North Carolina force Carolina to take them with them? By all accounts, that appears to be what the plan is. So I don't know, but on the surface, Miami stays as a power, and Carolina, Virginia, Duke stay as powers in power conferences outside of obviously Florida State and Clemson. Everybody else, it's a free for all, man.
Yeah.
It's a free for all. Oh, Virginia Tech could go back to the Big East too.
Okay.
So I mean, they could feasibly put together a football conference from the Big East in the Big East.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what you do with UMass. Like UMass has a terrible football program, but
Yeah.
they could link up, and all of a sudden you've got 8 schools for Big East football to be back. Maybe that is a pathway. I don't know if the Big East wants to get in that game.
Right.
But there's a pathway for that to happen and for survival to be there as well. All right. Big news, though, from Ross Dellinger last night. 503-864-6326. That's the Vancouver Ford text line. Danny and Dusty wrapping it up on a Wednesday on The Fan. The WNBA presser is going on. That's where Danny is right now. He's at that WNBA presser. Ron Wyden, Rip City is now WNBA City. We're not renaming Rip City WNBA City.
No.
It is a WNBA City.
Yes.
Not it.
No.
Ron Wyden. He's at the presser. He actually was very instrumental in getting the WNBA here too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd been. I follow him on the old tweeters. He'd been active on there,
Yeah.
championing the project.
Yeah. I sat here. I saw all of on my Twitters. I saw this pop up, and I went, "Oh." Somebody posted old time hardball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Posted this little graphic. It said batting average for each MLB team in 1980. There's 26 teams in Major League Baseball.
Okay.
And I was going down the list there, and it had a bunch of guys. George Brett hit 390 that year. Good year for George Brett.
That's a good year.
But I was going, God, there's so many guys hitting over 300. This is crazy. And I ended up counting up. Of the 26 teams, 22 of them had batters hit over 300.
Man.
Of the 26 teams. And I was like, good Lord. So I looked it up. In 1980, 43 guys hit over 300.
Not too shabby.
You know how many guys hit over 300 this year?
No.
This is the biggest. Oh, baseball's changed.
Yeah.
8.
8?
We have 8.
8?
We currently got 8 guys hitting over 300. And one of them is Jose Altuve, who's at 301 right now. Could go either way.
I didn't think we were going to be getting down to, being able to use all our fingers to count.
Yeah. You got 8.
Except for Uncle Spud.
And only 7 teams are represented, Uncle Spud.
He can't use his fingers to count to 8.
No, he can't.
No.
That damn washer-dryer accident got him. Got some of them digits. Yeah, only 7 teams represented and only 8 guys hitting over 300 in Major League Baseball.
Wild.
And in 1980, this is like how much baseball has changed. 43 guys hitting over 300, and 22 of 26 teams in baseball had a hitter over 300.
That is wild.
Only 7 this
Wow.
year. Only 7 teams represented.
That's crazy.
Only 8 guys hitting over 300.
Man.
Yeah. Times have changed.
Yeah.